Okay, so we're ready to go again, getting things moving on the Red Sea Max 250. Some good news and some bad news. The good news is the tank cycled. It's clear as a pin and everything's tested good. I'm going to retest it again later this afternoon. The bad news is, as I suspected and as I read in some of the reviews, the tank is too hot. Last night before the lights went out, it was over 83 degrees, which is way at the top of the acceptable norm, probably above normal for a reef tank. And I normally keep mine 79.5 to 80 degrees. So we are going to install a chiller today, and I'm going to show you the chiller, the hose, and the things that are going to be needed to get the process rolling, and hopefully we can get the temperature stabilized somewhere around 79 or so. When that happens, I talked to the local fish store guy today, and he and I are both in agreement that it's probably ready to put some coral and some fish in. So maybe tomorrow, when the temperature is stayed constant for a day or so, we'll make that move tomorrow night. But anyway, I'm going to turn off the camera, turn it around, and let you see what I'm working with here. As you can see, the tank is crystal clear. It's looking really good. I'm going to back away a little bit. Unfortunately, as I said in earlier videos, this room never gets a whole lot of direct sunlight, which from an aquarium standpoint is a good thing. The bad news is it doesn't bode well for videoing. But I'm going to turn the camera off and get the tank ready to go and the chiller ready to go, and I'll be back with you in a minute. Okay, so this is the tank with the top up. And one of the things that I had not done in the past is kind of gone through, and I hope you can see it with the lights off, the different things on this tank. But over on the left here, those are exhaust fans to try to move some water through the top of the tank and keep the temperature cool, which has not really worked out as well as I'd hoped. On the left side here, I don't know if you can see it, but there is one of the outlets for the larger pump, which is pushing about 2,500 liters per hour. The pump sits down directly behind and below in the sump, which you can't see obviously, with some foam media filter on top of it. This device in the middle is the protein skimmer, which is in the process of leveling out and getting dialed in. You can see the tip to the right of that of the heater, which at this point I don't need. To the left of the protein skimmer is some more media for the filter system. There is activated charcoal and also some ceramic media as well in the sump directly below that. In front of the protein skimmer, excuse me, I'm having trouble speaking English today, is the overflow. And the overflow right here, and I don't know if you can see this or not, is adjustable. And over to the right here, getting around a little closer, is the barbs that I'm going to be hooking the chiller to. That's one good thing, and obviously they had the forethought to do it. They do have hose barbs that run out of the tank. It looks the same on the back side as it does here on the front, so I can hook the chiller directly to those, run it down to the pump here on the right side outlet, and pretty much plugs and plays. I'm going to turn the lights on just to give you an idea of how things look when the lights are on with the top up. On they come, and we're almost blinded. As you can see, they are bright, blindingly bright, if there is such a word. But back here are the hose barbs. Directly below that is the pump that I will be attaching to some hose for the chiller. To the right here is the wiring that goes down into the switching area of the tank, which is down here to the right with a little door. The bottom switches are the two pumps. The bottom one is the left-hand pump, the right-hand pump, the protein skimmer, the heater, the protein skimmer, and the lights. So it's a very simple plug and play unit. It doesn't get any easier to work than that. Nice thing about it is when you're working on the tank, if you'd like, you can turn the lights off. You can turn the protein skimmer off if you're working on the skimmer to empty the skimmer cup, and etc. So it is really a well thought out unit. And back over here again is the outlet for the larger pump. And as you can see by the rippling of the water, there isn't a problem with shimmer or water circulation in this system. It is very clear, crystal clear as a matter of fact, and I'm going to pan around here and show you what the project is at hand. Today I went out and got a Aritica by JBJ chiller, also called an aquarium cooler. It's a 1/5 horsepower. It's set up to basically be used on 350 gallon per hour systems and above, and that is the unit right there. On the top is an inlet and an outlet, in from the pump out to the tank, obviously. Thermostat on the front to set the temperature, and down here are some of the accessories. There's a bag full of hose barbs that you can use depending on the size of hose you need. I believe I have 1/2-inch hose barbs, and I also got about 12 feet of black plastic aquarium tubing. Now you probably don't need 12 feet, probably 9 or 10 feet will be plenty, but better to be too long than too short in this case. I also have some clippers and some wire ties or zip ties that I'm going to be using as a backup over the top of the hose on the barbs, just to make sure they don't slide off. Certainly not necessary. Once you get them completely on the barbs, the hose isn't coming off, but I'm always I'm always erring on the side of safety. So that's what's going to happen. It's going to be hooked up. The hoses will be run up the back into the top as I showed you, and we're going to be placing it underneath. The tank case is very well ventilated. The stand is very well ventilated, so shouldn't be any problem with keeping the chiller running at normal temperatures. So I'm going to hook everything up, and we'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, so I have the chiller hooked up underneath, and I have the tubing run behind the Red Sea Max 250 and hooked up to the back side of those, which are 5/8 hose barbs. And then there are hose barbs that quick connect into those female attachments right there. I have the pump pulled out, and also the nozzle that goes somewhere right in that area. I don't think you can see the hole, for the output from the chiller. I did run into one minor hiccup. The hose barbs on the Red Sea Max 250 are this size, which are the quick connect hose barbs for the front side or the tank side of that little panel. Unfortunately, this is the hose barb that runs to the pump in the aquarium and also to the output nozzle for circulation. Not exactly the same size. One is a 1/2 inch for the pumps and the nozzle, and the hose barb for the panel on the tank is a 5/8. So I could have run 1/2 inch directly from the chiller to the pump, and that wouldn't have been a problem, and just bypass the little panel, because it does come out. But I wanted to use that panel for a couple of reasons. Number one, if I ever have a problem with the chiller, I can disconnect it and quickly reconnect the pump. And if I ever have a problem with the pump, I can quickly disconnect the pump and put a new pump in there. So what the fix was I bought some adapter barbs. These can be bought at Home Depot for $1.25 or so, and they reduce the tubing from 5/8 to 1/2 inch. Now, I just happen to have had, and let me walk over here and grab it, a foot of 1/2 inch tubing, which you will need obviously to connect the pump and the output nozzle to the reduction barbs. So I'm going to fix that up and we'll see how everything goes. The chiller installation is done. Again, to review, it was the JBJ Aritica 1/5 horsepower series. I did install it in the cabinet, in the stand, whatever, for the Red Sea Max 250. It is set at 79.3, and as you can tell, it's very quiet. The only thing I have running in the tank right now is the pump that it is connected to. And I didn't notice any appreciable difference in the output of the pump. Of course, it's hard to say, but excuse me, there's plenty of circulation in this tank as it is. You can see the front side of the installation here with the two hose barbs connected to the little part of the tank that's an accessory that actually comes with the tank as an accessory. It's included. I did run the output side down here to the output in the tank. The input side, there is a pump that sits probably 4 to 6 inches below the output nozzle. One thing I would like to make note, remember that when you're plumbing this, the pump does not sit on the floor of the sump. I would imagine that's there for a reason, so that the pump is not sucking up any sediment that may settle or sand that may settle on the base of the sump. So that is complete. I'll show you the connection there if I can. You can vaguely see it, and that is the JBJ Aritica 1/5 horsepower chiller tank cooler that is installed on my Red Max 250. It is very quiet. Sounds a little bit like a portable college refrigerator, or whatever you want to call it, dorm room refrige. But I'm going to shut the cabinet door here, and there's virtually no noise. In fact, I'm going to turn the other pump on, and you'll see that in very short order the noise of the chiller is covered up by the pump noise, and there's very little pump noise as well. So I'm going to add a little water and turn some lights on, turn the skimmer back on, close the top, and probably tomorrow start transferring some coral. See you the next time.